Depression can feel like a prison. Keeps you from having a goal-oriented life, keeps you stuck in negative thinking and having no joy. It also sucks away any energy that you would have to be able to do the things that you used to love to do. Well, if this has described you, and you've been living this way for a while, I want to help you today to begin taking some steps to be able to take control of your life, to not feel that lethargy all the time, but instead to be able to take some forward steps in your life, to have some joy, to be able to do the things that you like to do, and to feel like this is your life and there's a purpose to your life. If you don't know me, let me introduce myself. My name's Tawnya Kordenbrock, and I am an online emotions coach where I have a program called Mastering Emotions and a private online community. I help women to be able to rewire their brains, to be able to break free from fear, anger, and shame so they can love themselves and feel loved by others, and to have a deeper relationship with God. Now stay tuned to the end of this teaching, and I'm going to tell you about a free resource that I've created for you that's going to help you with all of that stinking thinking that comes along with depression. For now, go ahead and subscribe, and then you can receive notifications of teachings that I have in the future. And the first thing that I want to point out to you concerning depression is that you do not have to stay stuck there. You are not doomed to an entire life of depression. And certainly depression makes it feel that way, makes it feel as though nothing is ever going to change, but that's not really the way it works. So what is depression? Depression is a way of coping with fear, disappointment, even anger at life. And when you have done this, when you've coped in this way for a long time, it actually shapes your brain, the insides of your head, your brain, and how the neural pathways within your brain, and how the neurons fire and cause you to respond. It's like creating a pathway through weeds. So like the first time you go on that pathway and there's no clear path there, you have to clear it away. It takes a lot of effort. But when that has happened repeatedly, over and over, those weeds have been cleared away, that pathway becomes worn down, and it's much easier to go that way. You can go, you more readily turn on to that pathway, and you can go more quickly down the pathway. Plus, you can travel further on that pathway. So the same thing happens with your brain and the neurons that fire. And they create a pattern of response that is a well-worn pathway for these neurons to go down, and that pattern is going to influence your thinking, your emotions, and then your physical response. Now, when you're living with depression, your goal cannot be to just get rid of depression and to never have it again. That's actually not a realistic goal if you've been living with it for a long time, and probably not even a practical goal for anyone who is alive, because we all are going to get depressed from time to time. However, your real goal, an attainable goal, needs to be to change this pattern of response so that when you are fearful, when you are disappointed, when you are angry, that you don't go down into that same pattern that pulls you down and causes you to sink down into depression. And you want to decrease the length, as you start changing this pattern, you're going to decrease the length of how much time you're in the depression. And also you will see changes in the depth of the depression, so that, for instance, if for years you've been sinking down really, really low into depression, then eventually what you will notice is that you're getting to this place where it's not down here real low, but instead it's up here. So if you describe it with some numbers, and on a scale of, let's say 1 is going to be a really, really low, deep depression, and then 10 is going to be where you feel just incredible, then if you normally hang out around a 2 or a 1, as you begin changing this pattern, you're going to notice, oh, the last time I got depressed, I was hanging out at around a 3. And then as time goes along and you work on it some more, then you can notice, oh, my depression is at a 4 or a 5. Also, you won't stay in it as long. If you used to stay depressed for 2 weeks, now maybe you stay depressed for 2 days. Or if you used to stay depressed for 3-4 days, now it's only a couple of hours. This is what happened to me, because I used to be depressed. I've been depressed suffered with depression almost my entire life. And as I've worked on changing this pattern of response, and I'm going to talk about how you do that in my next point, but as I worked on that, changing this pattern of response within myself, what it did is it changed those neurons. It redirected how my brain responds. And so then I'm getting a different result in my thinking, a different result in how my body acts afterwards, after disappointments or after hurts. And so instead of being depressed for as long as I was before, now it's only going to last maybe a day, or it's going to last a couple hours, even sometimes 5 minutes or 10 minutes if I get on it quick enough. So that's what you want to be able to do, is get on top of it and to notice it, that it is coming on, and then to be able to use some mindfulness to change that pattern so that you can live with depression. Let's look at how you can change your brain's pattern of response. And I want to go back to that analogy of that example of that pathway in the weeds or in the woods. If you're walking through that woods and there's that well-worn pathway that you go down, you can go down it quickly, you can go down it easily, you can go a long ways on it. And if you are going to create a different pathway to go down, you have to first be aware of the pathway that you go on. You have to notice when it is approaching. Otherwise, you will by default just turn and go on that pathway. And before you know it, and you look up, and you're just like, oh my goodness, here I am. I have gone down this same pathway, and now what am I going to do? And so you're going to become aware of what the pathway looks like, how it appears as you are approaching, and then what some of the signposts are, considering in regards to the pathway. And here's what this is going to look like concerning depression. You want to take a look at the emotions that you are feeling. And a good way to do this is to chart this on a regular basis. then look at what it is that has triggered how you are feeling, that's triggered the depression. What is the incident that occurred? And then also look at what it is that you felt. Did you feel shame? Did you feel anger? Did you feel disappointment? Trying to think of what else. Those are the ones that are coming to my mind right now. Perhaps loneliness, that might be another one. And then also look at how those emotions impacted you. What thoughts did the emotions bring? Did they bring thoughts that nothing is ever going to work out in your life? You are never going to succeed. Everything always turns out badly. No one really cares about you. You are always going to be alone. So take note of the thoughts that those emotions are bringing. That is different also from what I see a lot of Christian women doing, especially, is when they're having such thoughts, they don't even want to look at them because they feel like it's sinful and you should just push them away and ignore them, or it's too painful to even feel them, to even notice that you're thinking them, as though if you recognize them, then they're going to grab a hold of you and not let go. But it's actually just the opposite. When you try to ignore your emotions, when you try to ignore the thoughts that are coming with those emotions, then what you do is you stuff them down somewhere. You stuff them into your body. You kind of, put them up on a shelf somewhere where you can't see them, but they don't go away. And because they're still there, that pattern gets reinforced. It takes objectively viewing them, of looking at them like, looky there. There's some emotions I'm having. Looky there. There are the thoughts that are coming with those emotions. And then take that a step further. And if you haven't ever done this, it might seem kind of weird, but it's very important for changing this pattern. And that is to look at how the emotions are impacting your body, where you're holding them within your body. For instance, if you're feeling angry, then you might feel tense around your neck and your shoulders and your back. If you're feeling fearful, then you might have tightness in your throat and in your chest. If you're feeling hurt, then you might feel a pain in your heart. Or you could feel something, if you're fearful also, you could feel that in your stomach. Then also notice, how are these emotions and the thoughts that they're bringing, how are they impacting your breathing? Are they causing you to breathe shallowly? To have short breaths, to have them up in your chest instead of a full breath and down deep into your belly? How about your posture? What is that anger? If the anger that's within that depression, what is it causing to happen with your posture? Is it causing you to tense up? Or is it causing you to a weight on you? Shame also will cause you to feel weighed down, as will loneliness, because a lot of times loneliness has shame with it. So pay attention to what that is doing. So this is a good starting point, just to, from an objective point of view. That means you're almost like as a reporter standing outside of yourself and taking note as to what's going on. However, like I said earlier, if you feel angry at yourself If you feel embarrassed at yourself, if you feel ashamed at yourself that you are feeling the way you are, that you're thinking the way you are, and you just try to push it away and not look at it, that's going to keep you stuck. But if you can look at it in this analytical sort of way, in a non-judgmental way, just to take note, here is what is happening. Now that is going to put you in the place of being like, noticing that pathway. Oh, there it is. Look at that. Look at what it is I'm feeling. Look at what it is, those feelings, the thoughts that those feelings are bringing. Look at what it's doing to my breathing. Look at what it's doing to my posture. Then you can begin making some changes. You can raise your posture up. You can change your breathing. You can notice then, what does that do to your thinking? What does that do to your mood and the emotions that you are feeling? Once you can get to that point, okay, and this is hard. It's hard work. This is what we work on in my Mastering Emotions program. This is why it's a program, because it's not just something you can just learn and, oh, I got it. It's something you have to practice, because as you practice it, that is what is going to create that new pathway. You have to continuously be looking at, oh, look, there's the old pathway arising. Don't want to go that way. Let's create a new pathway. Then we're going to go this way. Your next upset, emotional upset comes, and oh, look, there's that old pathway starting to arise. We want to create a new pathway. Let's go start down this new pathway and notice what it looks like, what it feels like, what thoughts come with it, how it feels in my body. So as you do that, then you're reinforcing those neural pathways in your brain, just like you would be wearing down that new pathway through the woods or through the weeds. So what we've looked at is depression tends to cause you to believe that you are stuck, that nothing is ever going to improve, and that you are just going to have to live this way in this depressed state. However, the real truth is that it can be changed. This is just a pattern of response, of coping with life's disappointments, life's fears that you have developed, that have developed within you. So this coping pattern can be changed. And what it requires is using some mindfulness to become aware of what is really going on inside of you, what it is you're really feeling, what it is that you are really thinking, and how it's causing you to respond, how it feels in your body, how it's affecting your breathing, your posture, and your actions. It's causing you to shut down. Is it causing you to lash out at others? When you can begin doing that, using mindfulness to do that, then that will begin to change that neural pathway within your brain. You can begin creating a new pattern. Now, I did mention earlier that I have a free resource for you and what this resource will do is to help you chart, to help you start noticing and to chart what it is that is triggering the way that you're feeling, to notice those emotions, and then to look at what thoughts are coming with that. So basically, it is helping you, this resource is going to help you become aware of what your pattern is. I hope you will take advantage of that. And if you found this helpful, please click the like button and share this with others. And let me know below in the comments, is this something that sounds like what you have always believed about depression? Have you always believed that it's just who you are and you are stuck there? Because that's not true. It can be changed. And yes, you could be prone toward depression. I am prone toward depression because it's been a lifelong pattern for me. But now it doesn't come as often. And when it comes, it's not as deep and it doesn't last as long. I'm able to bump myself out of it and to get back to living my life. That is my hope for you. So let me know what your beliefs have always been and how this teaching has helped to change that.